I've probably been working out down here for 3 or 4 years. Never really did a full tour of the gym. Spent a lot of time down here. So here's a tour of Lucky's gym. And I want to note that, again, this is years in the making. I mean, since 2019, I've been down here, and I started out really small. So when we go through everything, it was a process, and this isn't all going to happen overnight. So if you're thinking about putting together a gym, just take it slow. It costs a lot of money, and don't try to buy up too much at once. We talk about Lucky's gym a lot. Here's a tour of Lucky's gym, and just a little back history on here. My father and I spent a lot of time working on this gym, and then slowly I started to put equipment down here. Took a couple of years, and my cat Lucky spent so much time, I named the gym after her. So here's our official tour of Lucky's gym, kind of the order I picked up this equipment, and a little advice I might have. Now there is a theme. We have gray and orange walls down here. The treadmill was actually the first piece of equipment Kelly and I decided to pick up in this gym. Followed by this weight bench, which you can do a bunch of different stuff with it, and it does come with attachments, but I didn't buy the attachments when I bought this. It came with the stand. I do recommend that if you do buy something like this, just pick up all the attachments right away. Maybe you'll get a deal. The issue here is the more I show off of this gym, you need a mat for everything. So if you're in the process, you're thinking about putting in a gym, every piece of equipment you have, I like to have the mat. It's a fresh look, but it would have been a lot cheaper if I would have just did the whole floor one style instead of buying these individual, because these mats do add up. Went with these power blocks. This was the first weights that I did buy in here. And I've had the dial weights, if you're familiar with those, where you spin the dial. These, you just take this out and decide what weight you're going to put in here, and then the rest will remain in the stand. It's cost effective because instead of buying individual weights, you have all these options here. They do make a step up where they go up to 90 pounds. I wish I would have just picked those up because I ended up buying some more dumbbells, and they do go up to 90. I don't use them a lot. They're pretty heavy, but I could have just saved money and bypassed this, and actually could have put another piece of equipment right here. And then the workout bike came in. So we picked up the treadmill, the bench, the weights, the 2 dumbbells, the stand, then the attachments, and then I got this bike. And each one of these purchases, we bought those black mats. Now the rest of this tour, I just kind of want to show out the first couple of things I bought. I know this was early on too, the pull-up stand, the pull-up tree, which you can do a bunch of different stuff on here. It's a blur to me because this is over a 3, maybe even a 4-year span. But it just depends where you're going to pick up equipment, because when you look on Amazon, you look at some of these fitness places, they're all good. It's just, do you want commercial grade? Do you want home gym type? How are they going to hold up after a couple of years? I'm going to have some reviews on some of this equipment and let you know how it does hold up, because this is a pretty new piece I bought. Yeah, it works great. It works great. Now, how's it going to hold up in time? And I think that's the question, because we spend so much money on weights, and then weights for those weights, and then mats, and then stands. There's so much involved, and then you get one of these. And to tie everything together, we do have 3 arcade one-ups down here that fit in with the home gym. I mean, it's a tight area. I put in as much as I can. I do have room for one more thing. So I wanted to do a tour before I get that, show you where it's going to go, and kind of go over what's next. So the gym is down in the basement. Now, the only downside of having a 2-story house is you don't have that big of a basement. This is an unfinished part in here, but the rec room type, like this was pretty much established when I bought the house. It's just we did the work, we texturized, we painted, and I wanted to go for kind of an energy theme, gray and orange look down here. Right here is where the arcade one-ups are. These are 3 of my arcade one-ups. The rest of them are scattered throughout the house. But if you ever play NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, or Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with me, this is where I'm playing them. Do a lot of live streams right here. It sits right in front of this leg press, which I call, knocking things over, I do keep my water vacuum. I mean, it's a basement. I mean, you got to have some storage. You know, we don't want to focus too much on this, but yeah, the gym's right here. This is a linear hack squat machine, compact. So the difference here and why I went with it is I wanted a leg press. I can't do squats. It's too hard on my back. So this is friendly for me to do that. Now there's other options like this that you can pick up. I think I paid a little too much for this one. There are ones that were a little bit cheaper that unfortunately weren't available, and maybe I should have waited. Nevertheless, this is a decision I made, and I'm sticking with it. Only downside, I had to use 2 mats for this. I mean, it's a big piece, and it does take up a lot of room. I mean, you can see it's tight on that side, and this is pretty much my aisle to get through. That's right next to what I like to call a commercial grade preacher bar. I mean, look at this bench, preacher bar bench. Gives you 2 different workstations. Do a lot of curls here, but I also do a lot of curls here. And I do have a review on YouTube for this, where it does biceps and triceps. The funny thing about the punching bag is, I did start off with a red one, and if you're working out at home, you want to have variety. You don't need all of this. You can get by. Trust me, I did so much with just this bench, with those power blocks, and yeah, the stand came with it. And then I started getting more free weights, more machines. But it's, motivation's tough. And when you have this all at home, you can look forward to working out a little bit more. Only thing I want to say, this is my second punching bag. I had a red one. Instead of putting water in here, which we did in the previous, it kind of rotted away. This is filled with sand. This took a long time to fill with a funnel with sand in there. So if you're interested in getting one of these, there's one downside. If you do put the sand in there, I mean, you are stuck with this. Not that I'm regretting, but it does take up some space. Like, when you're adding equipment, you want to get as much in as you can. I mean, why wouldn't you? This does take up some good real estate, but it also offers some variety because you can really punch these guys. It's good to have. It's a good cardio workout, good shoulder workout, and a good way to let out some stress. And I'll go over some of the theming down here. There's not a lot on the walls, and in time, I'm going to put a lot more pictures of Lucky because, the whole gym is her theme. It's a memory of her. And when she was still alive, I did have this up. We stenciled it like Lucky was down here with me when I carefully painted this, and it took me a long time. Found a nice Thundercats logo for her. We have some DC magnets that I picked up at the Hollywood Wax Museum, early 2000s, right in Anaheim. Seeing Spirits got me a nice Superman Alex Ross. And I've had this Christopher Reeve Superman for a long time. Always wanted a nice Chris Reeve picture, and this is the perfect place for it. Stock Jock, my buddy, picked me up this Avengers logo and PD7 logo. I thought this would be a great spot to put them, and it's tough because on the directions with Fathead, they want you to have a flat wall, and you can just tell. We really texturized. We were trying to match the established texturized, so they're holding up. They look good. Now the Star Trek Enterprise and the Paul McCartney Lambeau Field ticket were my dad's, and I have this up for his memory, and he loves Star Trek. Had a Star Trek USS Enterprise model hanging over the TV, 90, 91, caught a lot of grief for it, but he liked it. He thought it was funny. I think it's a great memory just to have this down here in the gym. Over here we have Adam West, Burt Ward, Batman 66, and the Incredible Hulk. Right under the Incredible Hulk is a filing cabinet. It's a heavy filing cabinet. You might ask, why is there a filing cabinet in your gym? 2 reasons. This thing is solid. It's sitting on a 1/2-inch piece of plywood. There's a piece of plywood right here and I was going to say carpet, and a nice rug. Lucky would jump from this bench onto this filing cabinet. This was her spot. She'd lay here when I worked out. She was down here with me all the time. She was my shadow. Originally put this down here to put my dumbbells on there because when you're working out, you know, the older you get, I mean, to have weight on the bottom here, like you don't want to keep bending over and picking it up. So in between sets, instead of putting it here, I would put it on top of the filing cabinet. But I always had to worry and watch out because Lucky was all black and she really blended in to that rug. So that's where the filing cabinet comes in. Perfect, kind of even with the rack for those blocks. So back friendly, also pet friendly, especially for those dumbbells. Now I recently hung this rack up. It looked really plain. You know, we had Batman, Burt Ward, Batman, Robin, Incredible Hulk, the Superman shield, and big Superman guy. And I thought, you know, it'd be nice to just, you know, a lot of Kelly's bands, some attachments for some of the machines. Thought this would be a good spot to just hang this up. Picked it up off of Amazon, and that's the thing is there's so much stuff that I got on Amazon, fitness stores, other online fitness places. If you have any questions, you wonder about some equipment, like, trust me, I took so long to make some decisions. Something like this, like look at the ceiling. I measured this so many times because, you know, you order something, you want it to fit. Is it gonna work out? Is this gonna be down here? Like, is it gonna, you can see my ceiling goes up a little higher right there. I wanted a spot right there so bad. Ended up being here. This ended up being facing this way. Everything always changes, so it's good to have some kind of plan on where you want to put some of this. And when you come down the stairs, you'll see a couple of shelves that I've put some of my collectibles on there. Some of it recent, some of it I've had for a long time. I can't really collect a lot of stuff because, you know, I buy so many of these and they take up a lot more room that when I do pick up, you know, toys, collectibles, sometimes I'll keep them. Sometimes I'll just donate them to Toys for Tots. So it's kind of like this area and like the office areas, like all the areas that I can put stuff like this. Because, you know, the workout equipment takes up so much room. The arcades, I can't collect everything. I do love this Batcave picture. Justice served daily. Now, before I bought this fly machine, which you can work your chest and you can turn those and work your back, and the lat pull down, the treadmill was going like this. So you were facing that wall next to the bike, next to this. So I positioned everything where if I turn that treadmill up against the wall, I could fit these 2 pieces of equipment here. It is a little tight right here, but I mean, in time, I got used to it. This is something that I use several times a week. There's a lot of different exercises I can do on there. And the only thing, if you want to do cardio on the bike, treadmill, elliptical, you got to have a TV. I'm a huge fan of having a TV or listening to music. There are 2 TVs down here, and depending on what I'm doing, at least one of them is on all the time. So with everything that I've done over the last couple of years, probably going back to just before COVID, we started doing this mid 2019. My dad passed in 2019, so we had already finished pretty much setting this up. I did have a couple of pieces of equipment like we went over. And then from there on, I just started slowly picking more up, pay something off, pick up, you know, what's next. Until I thought I was pretty much done. And then I made some improvements. There's reasons that I have this preacher bench and this attachment. You can see on this attachment, it goes right here, along with the leg curl. When I put the bench bar on there, it would teeter-totter. Lucky was always down here. I didn't want her getting hurt. So I bought this. I've always wanted one of these. Plus, I like standing doing curls versus sitting hunched over on there, which I'll still use this once in a while, but you got to watch the back. So there's other options, I guess. You can do it one way, you can do it another. Kind of keep it fresh. It's nice to have options. Now, the only spot that I can add something is right where this weight tree is. Probably a month, 2 months out. I actually thought I would have it by now. This is pretty much the finished look. I spend a lot of time down here. It's usually in the mornings. There's times that I'll do some cardio at night, but I tend to do a lot of YouTube stuff in the evening, on the weekends. And the only time I get to work out is early in the morning, and it's good to have a gym here so I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to, dress up to go to a gym to work out. I can just come down here and do my thing. It's a special place to me. It's filled with great memories, especially with my dad, with my cat Lucky, and my cats before Lucky. Like, they were a part of it too when I would be down here working on stuff. I mean, it took a long time to get this gym right. And it's a special place. Never thought I'd have a home gym like this. Plenty of options for me to kind of keep myself motivated. And it's nice to have some arcades down here. It's a good look. It's a good tie-in from, the home arcade to the fitness to even Brett Favre behind them. If you have any questions about anything, please leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer. I'm going to have some reviews on some of the equipment down here, only after in time. The ones that I've done, I did a review on here. I did a review on this bicep tricep machine. And if you've seen that, I use this more than this because when I work out in the mornings, biceps and triceps are probably the fastest workout out of anything else. Chest takes me the longest. I usually kind of jump on here, but you got to kind of keep it fresh, keep it different, or your body gets used to it. But I tend to use this a little too much versus doing the free weights. But any other reviews for equipment like the fly machine, the lat pull down, I've had these for a couple of years now. And everything works pretty good. The one thing about these, that if you do get a cable machine, they will look a little loose after a while. And I'm telling you, once you put the weight on here and you start working out, you don't even notice. So if you get something and you see this, it's still gonna work fine. So when I talk about Lucky's Gym, this is what I'm talking about. This is where I spend a lot of my time. It's my home away from home. Technically, even though I am at home, everything that I have in here is its original machine. I never bought anything to sell to get something else in here. It's all held up. Like, there's a good feeling about that. But not buying a machine, and this is my least favorite. I'm not gonna lie about it. This is out of everything I have, this is my least favorite. It does the job, but it squeaks when I use it. And there's just nothing I can do about it. It's cool, it's damp down in the basement. I feel that I should have waited for the cheaper one. Only downside is it didn't have this calf block. So there's no way I'm taking this apart, selling it, lugging it up the stairs. This is the decision I made. This is the one I'm keeping along with this. There's other ones you can get, but if you're thinking about getting some kind of a pull-up, push-down, you can even do sit-ups on here, you gotta get one that's gonna support you. You don't want it moving around. This thing is solid, and you gotta make sure it fits. And you won't you just gotta remember the ceiling's right there when you're doing a pull-up. I have calculated so much down here, and it's worked out pretty good. I want to thank everybody for watching. You'll see some more content from Lucky's Gym in the future. I'll see you guys next time. I'm telling you, I use this one a lot. It's one of my favorite pieces. And it's just so easy to do because you can move on from biceps right here, or you can do triceps. And gosh, I've had this for almost 2 years. And I mean, it's held up pretty good. The only thing is you can't really overload the weight I have a 25 on now. The more weight you have, the more you're gonna wanna it's like your feet are kind of holding you down. And because there's no backrest on here, I don't know if it's the proper way, but you could overload something. You could always do more weight if you have something that you're pushing up against. You don't have that here. So you're balancing yourself, your feet, you're trying to keep the form. So the only downside of the tries is trying to keep that isolation. It's kind of easier to keep the isolation with the biceps, but still a good lift. My favorite machine.